Rachel here with Meet Advisors on the next Game Changer. I'm here with Basha Rubin, founder and CEO of Priori Legal. Basha, thanks for coming in.
Of course, thank you so much for having me.
Tell our audience a little bit about your background and how you thought of Priori Legal.
Absolutely. So Priori is a curated legal marketplace. We connect businesses with a network of vetted lawyers. And my co-founder, Mira Levitt, and I thought of the idea for Priori Legal when we were 3Ls at Yale Law School. And what we saw was a lot of inefficiency and opacity in the market for small business legal services, and a lot of barriers to businesses using legal services proactively and ultimately in the most cost-effective manner.
Okay.
So we built out a very high-quality marketplace to connect businesses with the very best lawyers at much, much lower rates than they're able to obtain from large firms.
That's really cool. Very exciting.
Yeah.
Was it hard to make that jump from, law school where you're planning to be a lawyer to this startup space?
Yeah, I always joke when I first started working on Priori, I basically had no idea what I was doing. And so when I was writing the first version of our business plan to start going out and raising money and getting advisors and talking to people, I basically wrote a law review article instead. I wrote a 40-page single-spaced plan with hundreds of footnotes, and I crafted this meticulously. And then I went out and I started trying to shop it around and talk to people about it, and they were like, "What is this?" I was like, my business plan. Like I very carefully distinguished everything in every footnote, and they were like, "Yeah,
I'm not reading this.
We need to start from scratch." So that was I wasn't familiar with the world, and beyond that, I really didn't have any connections. All my friends' networks were lawyers, which of course, in starting a legal marketplace, was very helpful in building the supply side and getting legitimacy and traction. But it did require sort of a lot of networking early on and a lot of learning by error.
Right, that's exciting. And you have this interesting business where you have to have two sides. You have to have the businesses, the users there, but you also have to have the lawyers. Have you seen any challenges with growing both those sides?
Yeah, it's always a challenge when there's a mismatch between supply and demand. We've taken a pretty careful approach to it. Before we launch in a new market, and we're currently in 5, we always build out the supply side first. We feel very strongly that we couldn't open up services for businesses and have them come and not be able to fill their need.
Right.
So we always build supply side first, demand comes, and that's a bit of a dialectic process in growing.
Absolutely, that makes sense. Yeah, there has to be the supply there before the users are going to want to use it. Makes sense. So is there anything else in this space? Is there anybody else doing what you guys are doing?
Yeah, we do. There are a few other legal marketplaces out there. We usually say that our biggest competitor is the status quo, not any other company. The field is really wide open and huge. I think there's an opportunity for quite a few successful companies in this arena, but what the most challenging thing for us is we have to change behavior and change how entrepreneurs do find lawyers and really educate people that there are high quality lawyers online and that this is a more cost efficient and effective way to find and work with lawyers, because I think entrepreneurs tend to think that it would be much better to reach out to their network, and sometimes that works, but it also doesn't always work, and it doesn't always find the best possible results.
Gotcha.
So we're really focused on educating entrepreneurs about these companies.
Right, makes sense. So yeah, the space is pretty wide open, so you guys can see some amazing growth in your future. What has your growth looked like since you launched in 2013?
So we launched in New York in 2013, and it was our first market, and we learned a lot in how to really develop sort of deep relationships on both the supply and demand side of the marketplace. And then just in the past 6 months, we've launched in California, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Texas, and we've made those decisions based on the inbound demand that we've been seeing from businesses. So it's been really exciting.
It's exciting, very fun. So what advice would you give to an entrepreneur who is thinking about making that jump from corporate to startup world?
You know, the thing that I wish I had done earlier, and I alluded to this, is develop relationships in the startup community, in the entrepreneurial communities. Right. I was very much in my own headspace when I was first launching Priori. I, wanted to sit and write and think.
Yeah.
But and the people I've seen who've really made successful moves from corporate environments, the startup space, spend 6 months having 3 to 5 coffees or lunches a week with people in the community and just beginning to develop those relationships. So when they do make the leap, it's a lot easier.
Right. Yeah, I mean, getting your name out there is a huge battle.
Mm-hmm. And there's also so much advice that you get from people, and also just really practical things. They're all
right.
I mean, I can't even count the things I didn't know. But I think, when you have a network of people, you can say, hey, I need a really awesome UX designer who's worked with a freelancer. Right. And that's really easy. But when you don't have those connections, and I was like, guys, I need a really awesome UX designer. People were like, I don't, what is that? Yeah. Like, there was no one in my world who knew what it was. So I think that made the barriers harder. And so that's what I would recommend.
Okay. And what is the best piece of advice that you've gotten from one of your mentors or advisors?
I think one of the best pieces of advice that I've gotten is to really stay even focused on the future. Okay. I think it's really easy running a startup to be affected by the roller coaster. And some days things are going amazingly and you're on top of the world, and other days something goes badly and you can be like, you're so upset about it. Yeah. And so to be able to just stay focused on your goals, and not be affected by those fluctuations is really the best advice I've gotten.
That's exciting. Yeah, I mean, I feel like when you're in the startup world, you kind of put all your time and effort and just your whole life into growing your business, and so having hard days is not fun. Yeah, also, you're responsible for, we now have 10 employees. We're responsible for them as well. And so it can definitely be stressful, but so much fun. Right, absolutely. So what does the future of Priori look like?
Yeah, so, we are definitely moving toward nationwide legal coverage. And so we're really excited about being able to serve entrepreneurs in communities throughout the country. Very fun. And can you tell our audience where they can find you? Absolutely. You can find us at www.priorilegal.com, at Priori Legal on Twitter, /Priori Legal on Facebook, and you can find me at Basha Rubin on Twitter as well. Awesome. Thanks so much for coming in, guys. Thanks for watching The Next Game Changer. Of course. Thank you so much.